Welcome to Making the Grade. I'm Dave Dickey, and joining us is Superintendent Dr. Stephen West, Superintendent of Winona Area Public Schools. And Dr. West, it's nice to have you here.
Thank you very much for allowing me to be here. I appreciate it.
We thought for the first Making the Grade of the year, it would be appropriate to maybe get to know Dr. West a little bit better, and then after today, you'll be running the show here, and I won't be around anymore.
There it is. All
right.
Okay.
Well, thanks for taking some time. I know you are like super busy here as school gets underway.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind for me. I was blessed to get down here. Before I even started, I wanted to thank Dr. Hannon for helping me transition this spring, and I've really just gotten my hands, just rolled up my sleeves and gotten my hands set up into this, and I'm fired up and ready to go. So yeah, it's been a whirlwind.
So how has this first month and a half or so gone for you in your new role? Because you came on, was it the 1st of July?
July 1st, yeah. I have to tell you, it's been a really smooth transition. I have just a tremendous number of folks who are around me that I just am really pleased with, and who really helped me. And so I've actually had a really kind of smooth transition. I've gotten a chance to get out and network with a number of folks in our community that just hear all things Winona Area Public Schools. And so I felt pretty good so far.
Well, and you were even down a few times before that July 1st day, kind of getting your feet wet.
Yeah, I like I said, I think Dr. Hannon did a really nice job with me. I was able to get down here in April and May and June while they were still working to just begin to have some one-on-one contact with administration and some important stakeholders.
So where are you originally from?
I'm initially from Memphis, Tennessee, so I've come a long way, but I've been in Minnesota, back and forth from Minnesota to Tennessee.
Because you really don't have that Tennessee drawl anymore.
I can, though, every now and again. You'll hear it every now and again pop out, but I'm more, as my family down in Tennessee say, I moved over to Minnesota speak. So, yeah, I'm from Tennessee, and my family moved here. I have 3 younger brothers, and we moved to St. Paul, and that's where I kind of cut my teeth, is in St. Paul. And I was blessed to go to the University of Minnesota for a bit, and ended up going and transferring to Morehead State for a little while.
So you have spent quite a bit of time up here.
I know Minnesota pretty well, yeah.
And so you said you went to high school in St. Paul. Which high school?
Yeah, I went to Highland Park, the Scotsman, go Scotsman. I actually was supposed to go to Central. I lived in the St. Paul Central zone, but my mother moved me over and said, "You're going to Highland Park." And so all my friends were going to Central, and I was going to Highland Park.
And what was high school like for you? I know today high school is so much different than it was back when, even when I was in school back in the Stone Age.
I had a great experience. I played every sport. And nowadays you don't. In sports you specialize a lot. And one of the things I talked to the activities director here about, the new activities director, is about, let's see if we can get our kids out a bit more instead of specializing. So in St. Paul, for me, I did the football, the basketball, the track. I even played a little baseball. I was in the play. I was a part of the French club. Don't ask me to speak any French. I get bonjour. But I tried to do as much as I could. So I believe in a well-rounded child in education. So you'll hear a lot about not just athletics, but activities in general.
And that's really important. I think that kids in high school, and most of them know that, but if they don't, they should realize that that's really something that colleges look at, is that well-rounded high school student.
I totally agree with you, and I think we have gotten caught up and swung the pendulum so far where folks think you have to specialize, and I'm going to be the best at this. And colleges are looking at, what else do you bring to the table? And for me, that's the message I want to convey to our kids and to our staff, is to say, we're trying to widen this breadth out for them. I want a real full life experience for a child to live Winona area.
And before we leave this one topic, you told me this, and so don't hate me forever for this, but Dr. West was homecoming king.
I was, yes. Oh my gosh, I was the homecoming king, and there are some pictures out there of me.
And I couldn't find them. I tried.
Did you look for me?
I tried.
I have a yearbook up at home that I could. There's some proof that there is a homecoming king.
I believe it.
I have some hair. Back then, I was a lot slimmer, and I had a great time. It was back then. I was involved in a lot of stuff, and so that's how you usually get picked for homecoming or snow days or something. People know you.
Yeah. A little bit about your family. You're married and you have 2 kids?
I have 2 daughters. One's 13, one's 11. Both of them are hardworking young ladies. I'm very proud of both my daughters. My wife of 16 years is a tremendous educator. She's in the education field. She is a PhD student up at the University of Minnesota.
Yeah, very good. And how do you like Winona now that you've been here a while, and what's your family think of Winona?
I think we talked about it earlier. It's you never quite know how a small, close-knit community will accept you as a person of color, stepping into a big job like the superintendent, not being from, I heard that it takes a lot to be from Winona. So, I mean, you got to be here 40, 50 years. So,
well, it's not quite that long.
I've heard that.
I've been naturalized, but I married a Winona girl, so that kind of sped the process up a little bit. So I've got my papers. I'm in good shape.
You're in good shape. I probably won't have those papers, but I tell you what, so I was a little bit nervous, and you pray on those things, and you say, is this what you want to upset your family to come down? And after even the privilege of the board allowing me to be your super, you still have to think about it. And after I made the decision, I have to tell you, I have felt so much gratitude for this community for reaching out to me and saying, hey, we'll help you, we'll back you. So I've had a good transition here. I really love this community, and I am 100% invested in this community.
When you said you had a great high school experience, is that kind of what compelled you to get into teaching? Was teaching your first choice, maybe?
Right. I thought I was going to be an attorney. So I actually, because I like to talk and I like the politics of things, and so I thought I was going to be an attorney. But after I got up into school, up in college, I realized that wasn't my love, that wasn't passion. I could feel it inside me, and so I volunteered at a little elementary school. And next thing I know, I fell in love with the whole idea of being in front of kids, and I've never looked back with it. I love education, and I love. As I wrote in the editorial here, I believe in public education so much, and for a system like Winona, 153 years of being the bedrock of this community, I want to do my part to help continue that legacy.
Was there someone in school that inspired you? I mean, I look back and I've got a couple of favorite high school teachers that they're still fun to run into once in a while when you go back home. Do you have any of those?
It's just so many people reach out. That reached out to you, that there's a Mrs. Johnson who was a 3rd grade teacher that reached out to me, Mrs. Ronnie in St. Paul, hi Mrs. Ronnie, in St. Paul, who just retired, and just changed my whole life. Mr. Mulder, who used to be a science teacher at Highland Park, and just so many folks that really mentored you, and I have a real affinity for educators. I think that's important, that they can make or break a child, and those 3 teachers really helped me make it when I didn't think I was going to make it.
I think Winona is filled with those teachers. My kids talk about their favorite teachers.
Yes.
And there's one teacher that really helped my daughter along, and you said you get that teacher that kind of takes you under their wing. And when she was having some problems with just the coursework, he took that extra time just to make sure that she was on the right track. And now she wants to be a doctor, so.
That's fantastic. So, I thought you were saying she wanted to be a teacher.
No, she wanted to be a superintendent. No, but I mean, so I think the Winona School District is pretty blessed with the teachers they have.
I tell people all the time, if you really wanted to dig and find flaws of any system, you can find flaws. But overall, I look at our system, and I have been so lucky and blessed to be the head of a system like this. And there's some low-hanging fruit there that you can pluck, and you look at it and you go, wow, this system is in good shape. Let me help it move even further ahead.
Okay. We're going to take just a real quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk more with Winona's District 861 Superintendent, Dr. Stephen West. Please stay with us.
The HBC Wizards, located at 67 Main Street in Winona, are local, knowledgeable tech support that you can access for all your home or business technical needs. Conveniently located by our main office, HBC Wizards offer technical consultation, computer setup and repair, home entertainment solutions, virus and spyware removal. Put it this way, if it has something to do with your computer or TV, HBC Wizards can help. And you don't have to be an HBC customer to utilize the HBC Wizards. Walk-ins are welcome. HBC Wizards, technology demystified.
Welcome back to Making the Grade. I'm Dave Dickey, and we are joined by Dr. Stephen West, the superintendent for Winona Area Public Schools. And as I said at the top of the show, this is the last time you'll see me on this program. It's going to be Dr. West's show from here on out.
Wow.
But thought it might be a little awkward if he was here interviewing himself.
That wouldn't be good. No.
So how would you describe yourself, Dr. West? What kind of a person are you?
That's a good question. I am a
Put me on the spot.
I'm a gregarious person. I have a big personality. I love to smile.
And I would have never have picked that up.
I'm very passionate about things. I'm fun-loving. I love working with people. I'm a very relational individual. I think it's better to work with people to get a job done than it is to try to do it and be a top-down person. So most of my leadership and most of who I am is really about flat and organizational leadership, and that's what I try to tell my team. Our job is to work with folks, not against folks. So that's my style of leadership. That's who I am. I like to laugh a lot. I like to diffuse issues when they get a little edgy and just kind of say, okay, how can we make this work? That's who I am.
What do you feel after you've been here for a few weeks now? What's the greatest challenge for District 861, and how would you go about addressing that?
I think the biggest issue, and this is why the beauty of the transition and coming down earlier to find out what are people saying about our district. I think it is about facilities, and it's about, we have a lot of facilities. We have about 3,000 kids, and how do we right-size this system? Understanding that the impact on, and I know I want to be careful here because I'm not saying this, but I think it's important that if we were to close a facility, the impact on doing something like that for a community, for a neighborhood, that's tough for people. And so we want to be very cognizant and very careful and meticulous about if that is something we're going to be doing. Is that something the board wants to do? We want to make sure that we're careful about that. I don't want to hurt anybody. I know that if that went down that route, we would have to hurt somebody. And so we want to be careful about that. So one of the things I like to get going on is surveying our community. We have a lot of data from our facilities, we have a lot of data from committees, but we haven't really surveyed our community to hear their voice. So that'll be something that they hear and feel from me very, very soon.
And I was going to ask you that question here after a little bit, but since we're on that topic, Winona went through a very painful time when they repurposed Central School.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have heard all about that.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, people are really attached to their school.
Yes, they are.
You've got kids there, and in a lot of cases in Winona, many of the folks that live in Winona went to these schools, elementary schools and so forth, and the emotional bond there is pretty tight.
Yeah, and you never go into this business to hurt people. I mean, you just never do. If you could do it and keep everybody happy, it would be great. That would be a great job for me. But I'm also the keeper of the taxpayers' money. I'm also supposed to be a good steward of their money. And if I look at our system currently, we're doing some things here that might not be the most efficient and effective way when it comes to finances. So I have to pay attention to that part of the deal. I have to look down and say, where are we at 3 or 4 or 5 years from now? Can our system maintain where we're at? I have some visionary types of things that are gonna come down the road that I'm dreaming about, and where I think I like to take this system. So how do we take what our community has done for us with the referendums and things, past referendums? How do I take that current money, use that money to move our district forward? And so we might have to look at some other ways of reconstituting, I guess, our system.
When we talked about 6 weeks ago, we talked a little bit about technology and where do you see the role of technology in schools?
I see that it's inevitable, and you know, as I think about, we have a lot of technology in Winona area public schools. If you look around the communities, there's just technology there, and so we're lucky to have it. I know it makes people a little bit anxious when you think about, wow, I'm going to put a device in every child's hand and they're going to have access, and what will the kids do with that? And you know, we have to teach really strong digital citizenship and those type of things, but it's the future. And when you think of Winona State that has an iPad initiative or laptop initiative, it makes sense that our kids are walking out prepared for what the world is going to be. And the world has become very small now, and so I need real-time curriculum. The days of having a textbook that I give to a child, your child, and they walk out with a social studies book, it's outdated when they open it. So I need real-time, current curricular ideas, and that means that is about a device. The other part about having a device, I'm on my little soapbox here.
That's fine. It's your show.
Oh my goodness, you can't give me a show game. But the other thing that is fantastic about devices, and that when every child has one, it levels the playing field for equity for our children. Now I'm not necessarily concerned about my top kid, and am I differentiating properly for that child compared to a kid who might be underperforming. Now I can meet those children at their level of skill set. And so if I have a top kid, I can push that kid on and say, go. And if I'm have a struggling child, I'm saying, okay, what do I need to remediate that child? If I have that academic middle kid, what do I need to take that next step? That's the beauty of the technology. Now, the biggest issue around that is making sure that my staff has the professional development they need to make that work, because I will not put devices in kids' hands when my staff are not ready for it yet. So we have some things that we're thinking about going forward with, and that's one of them.
Winona School District, I think, is interesting in that we've got a couple of specialized programs. We've had the STEM program for a couple of years now at Jefferson, and now there's also going to be, starting this year, the Spanish Immersion Language Program at Madison. What's your opinion on those two programs and programs like that? Do you think we're going to see more of those?
Well, let me try to answer the first. I love the idea of a Spanish immersion. My daughters have come up through a Spanish immersion up in Eden Prairie. I can't believe they're fluent speakers already. And trust me, if you have your children there, you're going to love it. It's going to be great. The STEM school, inquiry-based education, I'm a real believer in. And Arthur Williams, the principal over there, is doing some amazing things for those kids over there. I think I want to be careful about just creating programs to create programs. I think we have to look at our current programs and say, how do we make that available to all of our kids in the system? For example, if I look at Rolling Stone and they have iPads, then as a superintendent, my job is to get iPads to all elementary kids. If I am truly believing that STEM inquiry-based education is important, now I understand that STEM is a little different, but the inquiry base that goes with STEM is something important to us as a system, and we need to make sure that we're educating all of our children with inquiry base. So Spanish immersion is a little bit different, but I would like to be extremely careful about just adding programs. It doesn't mean that it precludes us from doing it, but if we're going to do something and add something, we want to make sure that it impacts the whole system instead of just one site.
What about all year school? That's something that it's come up, and the legislature kind of kicks it around a little bit, and I imagine folks have talked about it a little bit. That it eventually probably may come to fruition. I don't know, but do you have any thoughts one way or the other on keeping kids in school year round?
You're trying to get me in trouble with this community already.
No, I have a daughter that would love to be in school all year round.
Yeah.
She's, I don't think she speaks for the majority, but
I would agree with that. I think there's a place for it. but we have to be extremely careful, and it goes back to facilities for me. If I'm going to look at all year round schools, and if the legislature is going to move towards something like that, we have to make sure our facilities have the air conditioning and have all the things that they need to make that effective. I think people get confused about year-round school. I think they think, wow, they're not going to get breaks and those types of things. But I think I think kids are resilient and they'll make it work. But the facilities have to be right to truly make that happen. I cannot educate kids year-round during the summer and spring and fall and not have the things that they need to be in their facilities. And so that's another way we have to look at facilities, because if we're ever going to get to that place of year-round or modified calendar, we have to take care of some things.
I know there are a number of districts around here, Wabasha, Kellogg being one of them. They utilize the FLY, the flexible learning year. Is that something that Winona's ever talked about?
I haven't heard that yet at all. It doesn't mean that it precludes us from bringing it forward and talking about it. So I couldn't even answer that one yet. I haven't heard that conversation yet here.
Okay.
You obviously have.
Well, I don't. I hear talk.
Oh,
from
time to time.
Yeah,
Okay.
Time to time, but I
Okay.
don't think there's never been any real serious consideration. But
Okay.
just kind of interested in what your thoughts are. I know it's one of those things like year-round school. There's a state fair that goes on, and a lot of kids in 4-H and FFA have projects up at the state fair. Well, now they're missing a week of school because they have to be up there judging with their animals and so forth. And I know there's like year-round school, there's a lot of tweaking that would probably need to happen.
Oh, the politics of that is just unbelievable. I mean, not just the fair, but just business, summer business. Your kids are no longer out there, and even getting away for family is difficult. And so there's been a lot of pushback on it from businesses out there because they're saying, oh, this is going to impact us negatively. But we have to keep our kids at the center of all of our thoughts, and sometimes we let that go and we start thinking about things outside of children. And I can tell you, when kids are gone 2.5 months out of the summer, there is an attrition loss there, that when you lose some of the things you learned, and I see a dip, and now our teachers have to come back in the fall and try to pump them back up. And we could take care of a lot of that if we had a modified calendar or a year-round look. We could take care of a lot of that.
And then test scores, Winona scores have been looking pretty good. They've been improving.
Yep.
Any thoughts on how to keep that
Yep.
angle of the curve going up?
I'm glad you bring it forward, because I think there's a misnomer about how we are doing, and we're never going to be happy and satisfied with where we're at. But for math, for example, we're doing well over 4 years. And my job is to look at trend. It's not just to look at a snapshot year to year. I think the MCA causes some anxiety when you compare us to our neighbors. And I understand that. I mean, I've been in the business a while. I get it. Where do we want to put our children? We want to make sure they're high quality education. But we also create internal assessments inside of our system to really look at growing children. And I have to tell you, as I've talked to my team, our job is to grow children. It's not to worry about a snapshot on the MCA, understanding that I get it. But our job is to grow your child from the first of the year to the end. And if I grow your child a grade level, 2 grade levels, that's what you pay me for. And I don't think we speak enough about our internal assessments tools, the NWEAs and some of those other types of things. And so for me, I will do my very best to present information, not just about MCAs, but a lot of other data, so that you can see within the Winona Area Public Schools, we are doing it. You will see movement up, even on the MCAs, but internally, wow, we are growing children here. And I'm really pleased with that.
Yeah. We're almost out of time. Do you have any final thoughts, pearls of wisdom?
Well, I want to, again, to thank the community. it's very spiritual to me. It's very emotional. I've been pausing here a lot during my first episode with Jen because it's very spiritual. It's an emotional time for me. This is my first superintendent job, and I want to do right by this community. I want to do right by my staff and my school board. And I can't thank this community enough for helping me transition to this community. It's just been overwhelming and emotional. And hey, swing by and have some tea with me. I drink tea in the morning, and if you want to meet for coffee, just give me a call. I'm going to make my mistakes as your super. I'm going to tell you now, I'm fallible, and I want you to know it, but it won't be because I won't be trying for you to do what's best for our children here. So I thank you for that, and I thank you again for your support of me.
Very good. Dr. West,
Thank you.
pleasure.
No, I appreciate it.
All right, and after the show here, I'll hand you the keys so you can take this over next month.
Okay, we'll do that then. All right. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.